there, lovely listeners, and welcome back to Reasons to Care, the podcast all about heartwarming stories and making a difference with Diverse Abilities, Dorset's disability charity. I'm Claire, one of the managers in the children's team.
And I'm Michelle, a Deputy Manager in Supported Living. Can you believe it? We're into Series 3 already. We've had some really interesting conversations so far, and we hope you've enjoyed them all as much as we have.
Time has really flown by. I can't believe we're on Series 3. We've got another member of our children's team this time with us. We've got Lynda Larke, who was part of our team at Langside School and has done all sorts of roles throughout her time with us, and I'm sure we're going to hear all about them.
Lynda has also created a programme called the Opt Award, where students aged 13 plus can take part in challenges to help grow themselves and improve the world around them. I'm really looking forward to this because working in adults, I don't hear much of that. And of course, if you're inspired about working in care, listening to the podcast, don't forget you can check out our career vacancies online at any time at diverseabilities.org.uk/careers.
So before we get into the Opt Awards, Lynda, can you tell us a little bit about your career and how you ended up at Diverse Abilities?
Oh, yes. How long have we got?
How long have you been at Diverse Abilities?
This is my 21st year at Diverse Abilities. So I qualified with a B.Ed Honours degree in Sheffield for mainstream teaching, but did some placements in special needs school and sort of thought, I wish I'd done that. So during my time in mainstream teaching, I did gravitate towards the children who seemed to have behavioural problems and just thought, why is this happening? And over the period of time in my teaching career, I've just grown and grown more and more interested in that area and found Langside School for children with profound and multiple learning difficulties. And I've been there, this is my 21st year there. So, yeah, absolutely. I know.
Another lifer.
Yeah. They try to get rid of me, but they call me Boomerang because I just
keep coming back.
So, as I said earlier, I don't know much about the Opt Award being with adults. So could you explain a little bit to us about the Opt Award? What does Opt stand for?
Yes, certainly. So having worked with these very unique children, we were engaging in, that's quite a strong word, engaging in the Duke of Edinburgh Award. And it didn't sit very well with me when I took over the oldest class. I was by then assistant head, so was able to make changes. And having spoken to my principal, I said, this award is just an exercise in us thinking creatively. I don't feel our children are actually demonstrating what they can achieve because, let's face it, a lot of children and adults with additional needs are not really known for achieving or contributing to the community. And I felt very passionate that they needed some accreditation for the way that they had to live their lives. So my boss said to me, write an award. I said, okay. So OPT stands for Our Personal Transition. So for us at Langside, that could be transitioning from children's services into adult services by way of accessing the community and maybe activities or areas within the communities we wouldn't normally venture. To prepare us for when they're going to daycare centres and taken out and about to make that a little bit less frightening. Or it could mean to transition from one type of behaviour that is proving to be a challenge into a more positive behaviour. So it's very, very flexible. The award is very, very flexible. It's as flexible as the children who take part in it are. You know, they're all very, very unique. And my motto is that there's no such words as we can't do that.
So you can personalise it exactly to the individual that you're working with at that time.
People who know me know my favourite word is autonomy. Schools have the autonomy to know when a child or a student has achieved a particular strand. There's 3 strands of the award, similar to another big accredited award scheme. There's the helping strand. There's the PSEWB strand, which is very individual. And there's the 48-hour challenge. So, yeah, it's up to the particular member of staff or owner of whatever educational establishment the children are attending to decide whether that student has achieved that part of the award. And they get a lovely sew-on badge and a certificate. So, yeah.
I think it must be really lovely because for some of our children, something that seems so small to maybe other people is such a massive thing for them. It's a huge achievement. And to be able to celebrate those achievements in a way that is very personalised to them must be amazing. And for their families to see and to celebrate that achievement as well.
Absolutely. I mean, everybody who works with students or adults with additional needs know that they have to navigate every single day. Mm-hmm. And whether it's a sensory impairment, a cognitive impairment, whether it's physical, whether it's social, whether it's emotional, every single day is a real challenge. So they achieve every day. Yeah. But as I said before, we're not known for actually achieving certain goals and milestones. So with the Opt Award, we could take an individual and decide which area would best benefit them. So I'll give you an example. I had a student who was really frightened of anybody wearing a hoodie to the point she had a panic attack. And so her world became much more insular because obviously they didn't want to take her out and about because loads of people wear hoodies. But the effect on her was just catastrophic. So with this student, we started to work on that as part of her Opt Award by starting with dressing up, leading on to the hoodies. Then we would sort of ambush her around the school grounds with hoodies on the pier. And cut a long story short, the impact it had was absolutely incredible. And parents reported that they could not believe the change in her. It's not completely okay, but she can access the world. The world has become a lot bigger to her now from
Not
working
scary.
on that. Yeah, so she achieved that. She achieved it. She faced the fear and was helped and guided through to achieve that.
And I think that's a massive thing for anybody, whether you have a disability or not, that fear of not wanting to be outside. To be able to overcome that.
Absolutely. I
could
give you thousands of stories, but, the thing about the Opt Award is it's very personal. The teachers who are working with students with additional needs, whether it's autism or whether it's PMLD, or whether they're blind or whether they're deaf, it doesn't matter. You know your students better than anybody. So who am I to say they need to tick that box, they need to tick that box? The beauty of this award is that it is so individual, and it's up to whoever takes part in that award to determine what those students are going to try and achieve.
It feels really empowering, doesn't it, to hear that? Because quite often I would imagine in schools and education and other settings, you're very much trying to always fit people into boxes where they don't fit.
Absolutely.
Whereas this must be so empowering for staff to be able to say, well, I can do that for this child and that for this child, and everyone then can achieve something. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, obviously Langside are doing the Opt Awards, but has it been trialled in any other schools?
Yes, it's gone national.
National?
Wow. Yes, it's going to roll off your tongue. That's my dream. Yes, schools have bought into it for 3 years running, one particular school.
Wow.
Because part of the Opt Award, there's actually 2 parts to the award.
Right.
So when I developed the Opt Award, I said it was for students aged 16 plus. There is no upper age limit because if an individual hasn't got capacity, if they can't talk, if they can't walk, etc., they're not suddenly going to get it at 19 when they leave schools. Mm-hmm. So there's no upper age limit. So any kind of alternative provision can take part in the Opt Award. And I was very, very sort of keen on that aspect. But I was then asked, what about the younger children? So there is the Leapfrog Award, which is for students aged 13 plus. There's no overnight stay at all. And that area frightens people a lot. But let me tell you, when I say an overnight stay, it doesn't have to be an overnight stay. It doesn't have to be, as we do it, all camping at school. There are so many sort of opportunities to achieve that part of the award without having all to stay together. So the Leapfrog Award was created for students aged 13. There's 2 parts to that award. One is the Endeavour Award, where, again, similarly, you might work on an aspect of that individual to improve an area of their lives. The enrichment strand of that is to do something for somebody else. So it might be to take a neighbour's dog out. If you've got an ambulant student, it might be to help with the wheelie bins. It might be to go and volunteer at a charity, just like ours. It could be so many things that they can do. So, yeah.
Amazing. So, if schools want to get involved
Yes.
in the Opt Award,
Yes.
which we would obviously love to happen, how do they go about it?
Well, there is a website,
Perfect.
optaward.org.uk, where there are details on there how to contact us. We are more than happy to have a video link if you want to chat things over. There is the website is actually quite detailed. There's photographs on there, because one thing we would ask is that if you did take part in the Opt Award, with permission, of course, you would upload some photos, really just to use as a resource for other schools. We don't need evidence of every single student doing everything. It's just like, look, we did this. We all went, windsurfing, or, we're all, wheelchair users, and we went abseiling. We've done so many
ideas.
things. Yeah.
I was going to say, it must be a really good way is if you were thinking, how am I going to get this to fit, or how can I think outside the box, having that resource there to be able to have a look and think, oh, actually we could do that.
Exactly.
Or we could do that. So I guess that's a really important part of it.
And there is a frequently asked questions part on that, which is really important, because if anybody's listening to this and just thinking, nah, we can't do an overnight, we haven't got anywhere to put students overnight, they don't have to be with you overnight. So please have a look. But yes, I have to give a shout out to Avon Tyrrell in Hampshire, because they have gone above and beyond. It's an outdoor activity centre which we use every time. They are phenomenal. They give us guides, they give us a classroom, they put hoists in, they put changing beds in, they provide refreshments, and they just couldn't do enough. And our students have done, all wheelchair users have done canoeing, they've done zip wire, they've done high ropes. There's nothing we can't do.
I have a friend who actually has gone on one of the weekends with Avon Tyrrell, and just how much they put on for people is phenomenal.
Yeah, I couldn't sing their praises highly enough, really, yeah. So have a go. Have a look.
It sounds really exciting.
Definitely.
And you should be so incredibly proud of yourself for putting this on for everybody to be able to recognise and celebrate achievements.
I think for me, it was about giving something back, having taught for over 40 years, about giving something back to these incredible individuals. It's not for an egotistical reason. The award is extremely cheap, but it is about saying, look at them, they're amazing. And it's about educating the community, so that if there is a student somewhere who's looks like they're having an absolute tantrum, in fact, they may be autistic, and it may be complete sensory overload for them wherever they are. If there's an acoustic environment, for example, and they may actually be exhibiting fear. So it's about educating the community into children with special needs.
Yeah, celebrating those what are not your typical milestones.
Absolutely.
And like you say, educating the community on, actually, this is okay.
Yeah.
We don't have to fit into this box.
Yes, yeah.
Lynda, can you tell us a little bit more about the 48 challenge?
Sure. Yes, this area has caused concern for some establishments. The ideal is to have a day doing activities that you wouldn't normally access.
Okay.
So such things as abseiling or windsurfing or whatever you can find. There's bike riding out there for students who use wheelchairs, etc. It's amazing how many organisations actually can adapt. And of course, not all the students taking part are going to be wheelchair users. So taking part in activities that perhaps you wouldn't normally, take your students to have a go at. And then for us, we stay overnight at school. We tend to do this in the sort of October, autumn term, because we can get sparklers. So some of our students sleep on achiever beds at school, or we bring sleep systems down. It takes organising, but you focus on one strand every term. So, or not, you can move it over to the next year. Like I say, flexibility is the big word here. So we'll take the students outside on achiever beds. We'll have a makeshift campfire, not a real one, just nice lights. We'll sing a few songs. We'll have some sparklers, etc. Nobody really sleeps because everybody's too excited, including the adults. And then in the morning, we tend to, because we live in such a beautiful area, we go for a walk through Bournemouth Gardens, so we have a nice sensory walk, and then we'll go down and come up in the cliff lift. Again, they've been brilliant to us. They sort of book it for us. And then we go gambling in the amusement arcade, which you'd think for some students would be, no, lights, sound, oh, no. But actually, they absolutely have loved it. So we're all one-to-ones, and we take our students in or out as we feel fit to. But with the 48-hour challenge, I've got to say that only the students, I've got a mixed age class, or did have, so everybody takes part in all the activities. It's just that the ones that aren't 16 don't stay overnight, and they won't get the certificate or the badge until they are 16. And it could be that for some students, it might be that, and this is a negative, but they may have to stay in hospital overnight.
Yeah.
Tick.
They've stayed somewhere else.
It's a challenge. The idea is
It's a challenge, isn't it?
They may stay at a friend's or relatives with or without a sibling or a parent.
Okay.
Tick.
Really is totally flexible around that child.
There's not one student with additional needs I don't want to be able to access and achieve this. And I do know that there may be a few individuals who it's a real no to stay overnight. They have a later night. Just have a later night somewhere. Fine. As I said before, you have the autonomy, those that are running it. You decide if that's been a challenge for that student, that's good enough. Yeah. That's good enough. So, yeah.
So if somebody was listening to this and was thinking, actually, I think I'd really like to do this with my class, but it sounds like an awful lot of work.
Yeah.
What would you say to them?
I'm a teacher, first and foremost. Do you think I wanted to create more work for myself? No. And that is a really important point as well. I really needed it to fit into the curriculum. Now, most students have targets, whether they're in mainstream or whether they're in a specialist environment. This ties in with targets. 1 year we decided as part of our helping strand that we were going to cook a meal. Our students are tube fed, so they don't all eat. And so we explored the foods. We spent a term on it with our smells, and with our senses, should I say, and touch. And we chose a menu using effective communication assessment on things that we liked and we didn't like. We then used adaptive technology to cook the meal, to chop the ingredients, to mix the ingredients. We had a very, very nice cheesecake, and we had soup, and we had spaghetti bolognese, etc. And we sold the tickets to members of staff who obviously the money went to buy the ingredients and to decorate the table. So that was really, really good. It was all part of our curriculum. The targets were met for communication, for cognition, for ECT. It slots in there.
So it almost kind of can run alongside, and what you're using for the curriculum and the targets can then be used for the Optaward as well.
I don't think there's a school that it wouldn't fit in with. I really don't. And that was our term's work. We would have one session a week. Again, it's up to each individual school. Your session might be 20 minutes if that's all the students can manage. Mm-hmm. Ours tended to be about half an hour. It's up to you. It might be an hour. We've done so many different things like enhancing our sensory garden. So that meant going to the garden centres, smelling the plants and feeling them. We forged really good links with Stuart's Garden Centre. They gave us loads of things for free. So it's just about embracing the award and making it part of your curriculum.
Sounds amazing.
How long now have you been? Was it 3 years, did you say?
We started in 2017, I think, trialling it.
Okay.
Then we had COVID. So, of course, as everybody did. But, we did still access school. So, we probably rehearsed for our zip wire during that time by putting children in their slings and hoists and going across the classroom a little bit too quickly, which they loved. They were all adrenaline junkies. So, yeah, we still did it, but we weren't able to access, obviously, the community. So it took a little bit longer, but that was fine. And then we've got schools who have been buying into it, as I say, for a few years now. And there's a lovely statement on the website from one of our Northern County schools that is really nice. So have a look.
So over that time, you must have made lots of memories. Is there anything that really stands out? We're on the same page.
Definitely. I was like, that was going to be my question.
Yeah, I think in terms of going back to the achievement, so we had one student who had, again, a real fear of dogs and cats. But we decided that as part of our helping strand, we would have a pat dog in. And we happened to know somebody who had a pat dog. We hadn't met the dog, but we knew, it was trustworthy, if you like. The dog came into school. And this one particular student, we didn't let her meet the dog within a confined classroom. We took her outside, and this photograph's actually, again, on the website. She was petrified. So she chose one of her peers to come with her, and he was sat at the side in his wheelchair, and there's a less of a strained look on her face. Then it moves on. So we walked Maggie the dog. The children had the lead on them, even though they're wheelchair users. We walked Maggie. We played ball with Maggie. We fed Maggie. And in the end, this student decided to put bows in Maggie's hair, the same as hers. And the look on her face, it just speaks for itself. Yeah. And again, it helped desensitize her and make her much, much happier to be around dogs in the environment. So that was, to me, that was just magic.
So every episode, we have a happy jar and we pull out notes from the happy jar. So I've got one here. It says, Jay had never been on rides before. He hesitated, but with staff support, he went on the rides. And at the bottom of the ride, he said, that was the best thing ever. Claire, have I pulled a children's one by any chance?
Of course you have. So this would have been probably on one of our many theme park trips that we do every year. And something that I always love about those trips is children achieving something that their parents will say, no, they won't go on the rides, or no, they won't do this. And I don't know if it's that they're not with their parents, so they get brave, or if it's because they're with their peers and they're kind of like supporting each other through it. I don't know what it is, but they get brave. They go on the rides, and then afterwards they come off and you can see that they're so incredibly proud of themselves and that they've again achieved something that they maybe thought they wouldn't achieve. And the amount of times that they've come off of rides and gone, I can't wait to tell mum, and we're like, okay, do you want to text her, do you want to ring her, because they're just so incredibly proud that they've achieved that. And they always try and talk me into going on them. And one day I was like, fine, all right, I'll go on the pirate ship. But that is it, one time and one time only. And I come off and I was going to all the kids, you proud of me? You proud of me? And everyone was just laughing. But yeah, I think for my services, particularly in short breaks, the one thing I love the most is getting them to do things they wouldn't ordinarily be able to do without support or without the access to those activities. And then seeing them achieve something at the end of it is just amazing.
Yeah. And then seeing when you give the reaction when they go back to parents, like they what? I can imagine.
And seeing, just that the parents then are so happy and almost so overwhelmed, like, they did it. They did it. And you're like, yeah, they did. So it's something, and I guess that fits in really well with today's episode on the Opt Awards about achieving things that maybe they wouldn't otherwise do.
Yeah, I think it's
a good one.
It's very easy to wrap our children up sometimes, isn't it? That goes for a lot of children, not just those with additional needs. And some of our children are life limited. And, my sort of philosophy is if it's safe enough to have a go at, have a go at it. And I know one of the parents whose daughter did the zip wire, as she went back and did it with her family again. Yeah. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
And what a lovely thing to then, as a family, witness.
Exactly.
And I think that's, as I say, with my short breaks, because they will do some activities as a family. And I think how amazing that we're giving them an opportunity to do something and achieve something as a family that they maybe would have previously thought we can't do that, or we can't access it, or it can't be adapted to suit us. Yeah, it's amazing that we're able to give those opportunities to families.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, let's have a look. So I've got one about a new car. So that's obviously an adult's one. It says she was really excited to get out on the road. So Michelle, do you want to tell us a bit more about that?
This is an individual in supported living who came to us just during COVID, and one of her goals was that she would like to drive, and we're still looking in ways that we can do that for her, but she didn't have her own car. Because previously she'd lived at family. So she now has her own black car. She chose a colour. We seen her going up to order the car. She was very excited, thought she was getting it that day. Unfortunately, she had to wait a little. But now has it. And just, the complete change in that confidence, the confidence, I've got this, I can do this. She now is not as keen to go out on the bus. I wouldn't be either, because I've got my car. But is so proud of her black car, and why shouldn't she be? So she's still very keen to drive her car. So that's the next goal. We're looking at ways we can maybe not drive that car, but drive a black car. Just to give her that experience, because that is definitely on her list.
Bless her. I love it.
Yeah, that's great.
I think, do you know what this is showing? Like, all of this, we're talking about what they're achieving at Langside, what they're achieving in children's services, what they're achieving in adult services. And it just goes to show that actually across the board in diverse abilities, we all have that. There's no such thing as we can't do it.
No.
It's about how do we do it. When you said about her driving, I was thinking... Oh, that's going to be a tricky one. But you've not said it's not happening.
No,
you've said we'll just find a way.
We're just going to find a way that it can happen.
And I love that.
Yes.
And giving her the ownership over her car as well. So, it's not it's not the staff members that's driving. That's not theirs. It is hers. So, having the keys, and she just likes to go out and unlock it and sit there sometimes if she's not going out anywhere as well. So, and we have a lot. We have another lady similar who actually she didn't have a car, and she got the car. She did get it around her birthday, so now she thinks that in her birthday she gets a new car.
Oh, I'll have some of that.
Which we need to work on that a little bit. But again, that it's my car. I want to go out in my car. I want to go here in my car. It does open up more doors.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very happy.
Brilliant.
Amazing. Okay, so every episode we also have our myth that we try and bust. I have been pre-warned that this one might bring out a bit of anger in us, so we'll see how we go. So this episode's myth is young people with disabilities don't need to go out in a community, and it is not safe for them. Thoughts, people?
That makes me so angry.
Yeah. It makes me sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just because you have a disability, you can't access the community. Well, hello, community, that is accessible for anyone. And actually, you need to be changing your mindset and how we can make it accessible.
Yes. And as I said before, it's about education.
Yeah.
And one of my roles when I joined the fundraising team for a while was to go out and talk to children in schools, all different ages. And we focused very, very much on communication. What would you do if you were with a student in a wheelchair? How would you communicate? And the message that we wanted to get across was, do you know what? They're just children like you are. They still love One Direction or Taylor Swift, they still love these things. They deserve to be part of the community. They are part of our society and community. So, absolutely.
I used to work in a preschool, and I was a Senko in the preschool for a little bit of time. And one of the things I introduced there were having adults with learning disabilities come in. So either they would read to the children or do whatever they wanted, really, anything that they were passionate about. And it was a preschool in a sort of an area, a deprived area, but actually I felt that message getting out to children at that age, like, look, just speak to this person, just like you would speak to any other adult. It was really powerful.
Yeah.
And the same as when I used to work at the Beehive and the children used to come up and enjoy the choir all together. Like for me, that is educating everybody.
It does need to start with young children.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have had links for years at Langside with preschools.
Yeah.
And I do remember one of the comments, I had the class that we linked in with, and they said once that they described it as coming to Walt Disney World. And that was because of all the sensory resources. And the first session I would always say, bring your favourite toy. And of course, our students have favourite toys. And you would find that these 3-year-olds would be wanting to play with our students' toys rather than their own. But it's breaking down those barriers, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
I think kind of on those lines, it's always been odd for me because my children have always grown up with my sister, or I've been really passionate about them coming to see where I work. I felt it was really important that they knew what mummy did when mummy wasn't at home. And sometimes I'd finish a 24-hour shift at Lily's place and they'd come and pick me up and they'd come in for half an hour, play with the other children. And I'd be like, can we go home now? And they'd be like, no, we're still playing. So it's always been it's so normal in our house to just talk to people, talk to anyone, whether they have a disability or not. So my boys have always grown up in the world of just not even seeing disability sometimes. So I do find it quite strange to think that other people don't have that experience. But I guess it's just because it's so normal for us to be in a world of disability that my boys haven't really, they've just always been in that.
But what they'll pass on to
and
others.
that's my hope, that's my goal, is that I think if we can get to children when they're young and teach them that those differences don't really matter. Just because they don't eat, they get fed in a different way, they don't communicate, they don't talk, they communicate in a different way, and different doesn't mean that it's any less, it's just different for them.
We're such a diverse society, aren't we? In many, many, many ways. And I was just thinking then that on the very first time a playgroup would come to us, we'd sit in a circle. Obviously, we've got our wheelchair users there, and we've got the children from the playgroup there. And once we've introduced each other and sung a little song, little hello song, I would say, can you see any difference between the children who come to Langside School and you? And I've got to say, there's silence. No, there's no difference, because, through the eyes of children, we are the same. And that's the message you just hope that you can get through to everybody.
Yeah, my hope was at the preschool that they would actually go home and say to mum and dad, we had such and such in today, they did this with us. So it again gave a little bit of education to the mums and dads. Actually, this is okay.
I think there's little things in society that are changing. That you don't kind of notice them. But for example, you'll go somewhere and you'll see a disabled toilet. Well, the toilet is not disabled. It's an accessible toilet. Yeah. And it's that sort of terminology, just by altering it, that you can make a difference and get people to think, it's an accessible toilet. Oh, yeah, for people that can't, that do need to use a chair or whatever. Yeah.
So I think what our myth, or what our answer to our myth is, that actually it's really important for change in society for our young people to be in the community and getting to know their community and being present.
And the community finding out
Educating,
actually, what do you need to make this more accessible for me?
So we didn't get angry. We just buzzed them in.
It's a little bit angry when I read
Knuckles
it.
are white though, Claire.
Thank you so much for joining us, Lynda. It was so interesting to find out more about the Opt Award.
You're welcome.
It really was. And it's great that actually we could potentially implement it across adult services too, which would be great for everyone involved.
Absolutely. There's no excuse not to.
So if you want to find out more about the Opt Award, you can visit optaward.org.uk, which is spelled OPT award.org.uk. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Reasons to Care, the podcast from Diversibilities, Dorset's disability charity, all about what it means to work in care.
We'll be back again with you soon, so make sure you subscribe for updates. But in the meantime, don't forget to follow Diversibilities on social media. Check out our vacancies at diversibilities.org.uk/careers, and we'd love it if you could leave a review if you've enjoyed this episode. Speak to you soon. Bye.